Right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory be unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rakah Kwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that rule well. Peace, salutations, and blessings be unto the hopeful elect, pushing his truth in sincerity throughout the four corners of the globe, in the sincere hopes of being delivered in these last days. This is the brother Yakanan from the GMS England branch. As you can see here, I have this news taken from the express.co.uk, and it reads: Portugal and Spain chaos as countries plunged into darkness after massive power outage. Okay, now it says parts of France were also impacted by the blackout, it has been reported. And one thing, I go into from time to time, not just myself, but, other Archeum, apostles, elders, so on and so forth, is these blackouts, power outages, and how scenarios of this nature are going to be engineered and utilized by the wicked elites of Esau Edom in order to garner more control of the people, and in order to beat the people down into submission. Okay, these are one of the tools that's definitely going to be used, in these last days. So this is definitely, signs of the times. Okay, because no one wants to be without power. All right, no one wants to be without electric, without water, so on and so forth. So methods such as this can be used and will be used in order to gain control of the people and put the people into a state of fear. Okay. And many people will succumb to the MOTB, the Revelation 13 and 16, for want of food, for want of power, food, water, electricity, gas, so on and so forth. People are going to get desperate when these things are not easy to be accessed, and this is why, the elites are going to use power, food, as a tool to cripple, the people. All right. Now it says here, breaking news. This is popped up, as you can see. It says Barcelona versus Inter Milan at risk of postponement as power outage causes chaos. Okay. So now, it's even going to affect, the bread in the circuses. All right. Which we know, people can't live without the bread in the circuses, in this world. That's something that they feed upon, and that's a major distraction that keeps the people, in line, keeps the herd in line. And, many of these things that people are used to, the entertainment, social media, all of these things are used as a tool, to control the people. And that's why when you get internet, outages, or you might get, Facebook will go down, WhatsApp will go down, Twitter, which is X, will go down, people lose it. Because also through them avenues of social media, people also make a living. You got millions of people out there that actually have a salary, from TikTok. You have people out there that have a salary from, X. You have OnlyFans. You got mass majority of women out there that are selling their body, images of their body and videos of their body using OnlyFans and making, substantial amount of money, from these avenues. So when restriction, is implemented, upon those tools, that's another means of control. Okay, people want to be online. They want to be online all the time. They don't want to be disconnected from the online, world, because that's what this world, is based upon, being connected, to the internet. Okay, so there's various different ways in which, this devil is going to use these things in society to control and get the people to kneel and bow down to this beast system. Now it says the whole of Spain, as well as parts of Portugal and France, have been affected by a massive power outage on Monday, April 28th, which is today. Key cities including Madrid, Seville, and Lisbon have been hit by a power outage, leaving residents without electricity and mobile signal. All right, so also the communications, have been disrupted, as well. And you know what? We welcome things of this nature, all right, because this only brings us closer to the end, of this man's kingdom. All right, let's hurry this thing up, all right, because we desire the end of the kingdom of Esau Edom. It says parts of Madrid underground have been evacuated and traffic lights in the city are not working. So that's pure chaos. So you can have an increase of accidents, in turn have an increase of death, have an increase of, hospital visits, due to these things occurring. Okay, and then you got certain machines in the hospital that are going to require electricity. So if the actual if the power, affects hospitals and key buildings, of that nature, all right, that's going to create even more chaos. All right, you have people hooked up to life support machines. Okay, now if suddenly, the emergency source of power, for the hospital is taken out, then you have an even bigger problem. Okay, because I'm sure that particular hospitals out there, that they have an emergency power source. Okay, and if that goes down, you're gonna have a whole lot of trouble. You're gonna have people that's hooked up to life support machines suddenly have no power to run those machines. So you're gonna have more death. Things are gonna get more heavy out here. All right. It says, according to local media, in Valencia, the metro has announced that it has suspended service across the entire network. All right, so you're going to have people unable to get to work. They're going to have to find, different means to get to their job. You're going to have companies straight, canceling work for the day, schools shutting down, so on and so forth. Not having power, creates a lot of chaos. But again, all of this chaos is being engineered. It's being done for a reason, to bring about, this new world order system. Banks, going down, loss of data. All right. Hey, the chaos, the possibilities of the chaos is endless, man, when it comes to not having power and, outages. Okay. All right. So right quick, let's get let's go to Revelation chapter 3 and verse 10. All right. And it reads, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. Okay. So that hour of temptation is coming. All right. Where people are going to be tempted. People are going to have to choose a side. There's going to be a dividing line that really, as we know, is set up by Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. Okay. And again, it's situations such as these that are going to make people succumb to that temptation and align themselves with the beast system. Okay. Align themselves, with that image, for fear of being cut off, from the grid, for fear of not having electricity, not having, running water, not having the ability to operate on the grid, okay, for fear of not being able to buy and to sell, okay? So it's these type of situations that is going to shape the mind frame of the people into submission, okay? But as we know, through the Spirit, the elect are going to have victory over the beast, over his image, and over the mark, as it's written, okay? And that's why it says in the book of Isaiah, that my servants shall eat and my servants shall drink, but ye shall go hungry, okay? The elect are going to be okay when all hell and chaos breaks loose through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, all right? So with that, Lord willing, this brief video has been edifying, and until next time, I'll say Shalom.